how have you been spending your sequester time?
I try not to um, get into this like rut of just sadness because I think it was very easy to get like that, especially in the beginning. I do teach still, so I teach online, so it's all kind of virtual lessons, both private lessons and Kennesaw lessons. And then obviously assignments and everything for Kennesaw because we can't have a classroom because it's just not going to work. It's too many people. And so we just try to make it work because I feel bad for the students. It really is not ideal for them and we're doing the best we can, but it's hard. But we're making the best out of it. I've been practicing a lot and just doing house stuff. Honestly, I've been keeping myself pretty busy because there's always stuff to do. I never feel like I can ever get bored because there's always something that you can be doing. I've been exercising, cooking more, trying to, feed my fiance and my brother who's staying with us. Just trying to see if, honestly, I'm just hoping that there's a light at the end of the tunnel soon because it's really hard. It really is. I'm not gonna lie. It's tough. It's like a piece is missing, for all these musicians. It's crazy strange. I've been talking to a lot of my chamber music colleagues too, and we just miss being in the same room together, I mean, that's part of chamber music in itself, to actually be able to work with somebody and be close to them and really feed off each other and each other's musicality. And it's, that's missing. It's not the same when it's possible, but it definitely is different than actually being next to somebody.
Have you been listening to music at all while you're sequestered?
I have, but I normally don't listen to a lot of music anyways because I'm always playing. So it's like, that's enough for me. It was a really weird feeling when this whole thing started. It really was. I was actually in Jackson Hole for a few days skiing with my fiance Daniel. And then all of a sudden it just like exploded. Everything happened within like a few days. We had our parents here in Atlanta actually, and they were a little bit worried about what was going on. And all of a sudden, Norway just had this new rule that you couldn't travel into the country because they actually developed that rule before the U.S. did, because the disease actually came there before here, being in Europe. All of a sudden, our parents' flight was canceled, and we had to just see what will be best for them, and they felt safer being back in Norway because they're more used to it. Daniel and I flew back from Jackson Hole. I put my parents on a flight that was still going through Amsterdam back to Oslo, and then just like things just started rolling. Like things just started getting canceled after like cancellations just crazy, like within 2 or 3 days my entire spring season was just wiped out. And Kennesaw was closed, and then it was closed for a couple of weeks first, and then it was closed for the entire semester. And it was just so much happening at once. When we came back here and my brother was also, not doing anything all of a sudden, and we were hanging out a little bit more because we lived together pretty much, so we could actually spend time together. And same thing with him, like cancellations upon cancellations. And then after a couple of days of this, I just started to get really upset, like really sad, actually. I don't want to use the word depression because I think it's a very strong word, but I think I was feeling pretty down. And then we started talking about, maybe in June, Kon-Tiki, our festival in Norway, would maybe be canceled, and, all of these things. And it was just overwhelming a little bit. I think that's the word that I would use. I remember one morning and I was talking to Daniel and I was like, oh, I hate this. This is so sad. And I don't even really want to go near the piano. Like I feel weird. Like I was like, maybe I should practice, but then I just felt sad even looking at it. Daniel was like, getting kind of mad at me, actually. He was like, what are you doing? This is a perfect opportunity for you to better yourself and become a better musician. It's not going to last forever, it's not going to be a permanent thing. And I was getting kind of bickery with him. And then eventually I realized that, he's totally right. You can try and turn this around into something positive. But one of the things I said to him, I was like, I don't even know what to practice. I don't know when my next concert's going to be. I don't know, I don't know what to actually have on my repertoire. And then he was like, you know what? Okay, fine. I'll choose a couple of pieces for you, and then you're going to learn those, and you're going to learn those for me. And I was like, okay, fine. So one of the pieces he chose was the Chopin Ballade No. 1, which is really, really hard. So I've definitely got my work cut out for me. And I try to record some videos here and there. People have asked me for requests of pieces that they like listening to. And in a way, that's a nice way of just keeping myself busy and practicing and learning new things and trying to turning it around to something that's a positive thing and not just negative. Because it's very easy to get into that sort of just sad, confused, and just a surreal life that you're not used to at all. I mean, I haven't had this since I was, I don't know, like 6 years old when I first started performing.
So how is it in Norway?
It's very strict. They started this a little sooner, so with all the quarantines and all the social distancing, and you can't even go out your house really, apart from, the grocery stores and everything. My parents had to be in quarantine at home for 2 weeks. They had help and everything. We made sure that, they had enough help that they can have. So I feel bad, and my brother does too, that we can't take care of them. I have to stay here. My brother has to stay here. And so it just worked out that they were there. There is actually, I think, the least amount of deaths actually compared to the people that live there in Norway and most of Europe. I think they're doing a pretty good job.
Have you been talking with other of your colleagues?
Yeah, I have. We actually have a little girls' night in with my friend Elizabeth and Helen and Sheree, violinist and cellist. And we've been doing FaceTime, 4-way FaceTime, and just to have some sort of normality, because we used to meet up a lot and have dinner and stuff. And then I've been speaking to a lot of my friends actually during all of this. In the beginning, actually, I have to be totally honest, it was actually kind of difficult to talk to anybody. So I was kind of just sheltered, and I didn't really talk to anyone apart from Daniel and my family. And then after a while, when I started playing again and got back into more normal life, I've been in contact with a lot of my friends and colleagues, and everyone feels the same way. Everyone does. It's such a strange feeling, and I think everybody just feels like there's a little part of them that's missing. Not that I feel like my whole identity is the piano, because it's not, but a big part of my identity is performing and being on stage and, giving part of myself to an audience. And then all of a sudden that's not there anymore. And it's a very, very strange feeling.
What about the Kon-Tiki Festival?
We don't really know yet. I think we're going to wait until May to make a decision. They actually just had a law that you can't have big festivals or sporting events until the 15th of June, and Kon-Tiki starts on the 17th of June. So technically we could have it, but it's tricky. I think we're just taking it day by day, to be honest, because nobody really knows what's going on and everything changes from day to day. So I'm hoping that we can have it, but we just try to comply with rules and regulations, and we'll see what happens.
And what about the big day?
Well, I mean, that's another thing that we have to look at. I mean, hopefully it will be okay by July, but if it's not, then we just have to postpone it a few months. We just kind of have to wait and see. I think May is a little bit of a month where we have to make some decisions. So,
do you have any concerts, recitals still on your books for later in the summer? Because you had a pretty extensive schedule laid out.
I still have some concerts that haven't been canceled in May and June, but I'm pretty sure they're going to be. But fingers crossed, maybe not. We'll see. And then I still have some festivals that haven't been canceled in July and August, but then also, again, I don't know if that's going to be happening. It's a very small chance that I'll be performing anytime soon for the public.
It certainly must affect income.
Yeah, that it really does. Most of my income is from performing. So that's huge. I mean, I have savings and stuff, and so I've not been struggling too much, but it's tough. Like, I mean, it's if I didn't have that, then it's difficult. And for a lot of musicians, it's devastating. And I mean, it is for me too. And if it continues on like this for months and months and months, then I'm going to be struggling too. It's really, really, really tough for musicians and people in the entertainment industry. I really feel for all of my colleagues. I mean, it's and also for people that want to go to concerts. It's for both parties. I'm trying to be positive, and I'm trying to think of it's not going to last forever, and to try and prepare myself. One of the things that my fiance was saying is that when this is all over and when you start performing again, think about the fact that you can just be so much better when you then go out and perform instead of just sitting at home and not doing anything and feel sorry for yourself. You can actually do something positive, and positive for yourself and positive for the future. So I try to think about that, and I try to live by that every day and turn this really sad thing into something that can potentially be something positive. People need music. People need the arts. You know, people need to go to concerts. They miss it. They want to go. You know, it's such a huge part of people's lives. And by not having it, I think a lot of people are realizing what and how big of an impact it actually has on a human being. And I'm hoping that people realize that not being able to do it, that they realize when they actually can do it, that they should support the art more.
All right, I won't keep you longer. You give a real human side to it.
It's very important to just pull yourself together and just march on. It's not going to be forever, and so you better prepare yourself for when it's not going to be. And it's good to have that mindset rather than just go deep into the dumps and just not do anything.